Yogendram
Vasudevendra Yogendram
Natva Jnana Pradam Gurum
Natva Jnana Pradam Gurum
Mumukshunam Hitarthaya
Mumukshunam Hitarthaya
Tattva Bodho Vidhiyate.
Tattva Bodha Vidhiyate.
So, visibly here in this world, when we observe this world, we see that all the people in the world seem to be following different goals here. Be it their immediate goals, they are different from people to people. What one has to do today, what we have to do this week, what we have to do this month, it is not the same for everyone. Everybody is following something else here. Also, the long-term goals are different for all the people. Some people are planning for their retirement, some people are taking care of their health, some people are taking care of children, grandchildren. So it seems as if everybody is following a different goal here, But the Shastras say that all these goals can be categorized into only 4 goals, depending on the motive of the people behind the goals which they are following, So these 4 goals are known as Chaturvidha Purushartha. Chaturvidha means fourfold. Purushartha means Purusha Artha. Purush means human being. Artha is the goal which he is pursuing. Also, Purushartha is the effort which a person puts for the goal which he is pursuing. So these 4 goals actually include everything a human being is doing, and these 4 goals are Dharma, Artha, Kam and Moksha. The name of Dharma is taken first because no matter what anybody does, we must pursue every goal as per Dharma. It must be ethically, righteously followed. There should be no need to make quick bucks here, taking shortcuts in life. So everything has to be as per Dharma, but the human being pursues, the first goal which he pursues is Artha. So Artha is getting everything from this world which seems to give a person a relative sense of security. That is why he is chasing Artha. And Artha includes getting education, earning money, getting into relationships here, getting name, fame, everything generally comes into Artha, because all this gives a human being some sense of security. Then the other goal is Kama, that is wanting pleasures here, After he takes care of Artha to some extent, he wants pleasures here in this life. Dharma as a goal is following a life of values and contribution. That is a life of Dharma, and the final goal of life is Moksha, which is self-realization. The Purusharth of Artha and Kama bring material prosperity to a human being, and Dharma and Moksha bring spiritual prosperity to a person, Hence, our life has to be balanced between these 2 Purusharthas. Actually, not only balanced, it has to be tilted towards spirituality, because spirituality only can give what actually a human being is looking for. The humans don't know that whatever they are pursuing, in that they are only looking for peace, security and happiness. So if a person's life is totally turned towards material prosperity, he is going to pay a heavy price for that, because by the time it's too late to make any amendments in life, he's going to realize that he is surrounded with material comforts and material prosperity, but what he lacks within is the sense of security, the sense of fulfillment, No matter what you do, if it is Artha and Kama based, that sense of fulfillment will not come. And this is going to bring that sense. You will be tripta, you will be fulfilled, that, yeah, you did what you came here for, So if a person is just going to pursue artha and kama, he is going to be a miserable person, especially in old age. You see the old age of a person, and there you can figure out what this person has done in his life, A spiritual person is calm and happy with nothing around. And a person who pursued materialistic life is so miserable, He can never be comfortable with himself. So this life, which human life which one gets after so much of punya karmas, doesn't have to be frittered away in a life pursuit for artha and kama, or even we should not stop at dharma, Dharma is a stepping stone, and the eventual final goal, ultimate goal of life is moksha. And the scriptures say that not only is moksha the final goal of life, this is the only cure for the problem which a human being is facing, and he doesn't know why he's facing what he's facing. This problem known as samsara. It is called bhava roga in the Shastras, Moksha is a cure for bhava roga. Nothing else can cure this bhava roga, And what is this bhava roga? This feeling of, uneasiness with one's own self. There is a undercurrent of restlessness in every human being. This is what is bhava roga created. It's the symptoms of bhava roga. And because of that, a human being is forced to keep himself occupied in some activity or the other. Why can't a person sit down without activity? Why is he not able to just be himself? The problem is this bhava roga, and nobody knows what it is. It's because everybody is doing it, so it's taken as normal. Everybody does it, no? So I'm also doing it. So that's the question. Only doesn't arise that there is a problem here. Now, to remove this bhava roga, which is created because of lack of this goal which would have given him, removed this bhava roga, the human being foolishly looks out in this world to solve this problem of restlessness, this bhava roga. He's looking out in this world for solutions, Now, when he has this feeling of loneliness, this feeling of rejection, dejection in life, he tries to, surround himself with different kinds of relationships here, But every relationship which one gets involved in is in this realm of time, It is time bound. Every relationship is time bound, That's not a solution, but this is how people are solving this problem of bhava roga. So it is time bound. Also, in every relationship, you have to put up with other people, put up with their whims and fancies, adjust with the people around, Most of the conversations of the people, if you hear, they are centered around the difficult relationships they are putting up with. This is a sign that they are uncomfortable with the relationships, but they can't do without the relationships because of that feeling inside of loneliness. They cannot face themselves, Then a human being tries to remove this sense of insecurity within by earning wealth, taking care of his health, doing all this here in this world. But nothing seems to remove this sense of insecurity, especially the fear of old age, disease, death is lurking on our heads all the time. So there is no peace within, So dharma is going to give us relative peace, security and happiness, because in dharma, the person develops this faith that God is there for me, This faith also everybody doesn't get. Even you may be praying to God in front of, but that faith from inside, my buddhi knowing it, for sure, yes, God is there for me. Not just saying verbally, yeah, God is there. That knowing that God is there for me comes only when you pursue a life of dharma. Dharma, when a person pursues, gradually he starts developing vairagya to this material, worldly rat race which is going on here, he starts getting detached with all that. Dharma te virati. Dharma is going to bring vairagya in the person, And then only the doors of spirituality open for such a person. And this person will, most of the people who have followed dharma only will come to know that the goal of life is moksha. Look around. Do the people even know that the goal of life is moksha? No, they don't know. Why? They haven't lived the proper life, and they will die and go away from here, missing out on this goal of life, So dharma brings relative peace, security and happiness because one has God dependence, one is truly dependent on God. But moksha, in that even this dependence goes away because moksha is self-dependence, it is independence, So there is no dependence on God also, not Ishvara. The Sagun Ishvara dependence starts going away with moksha, So this self independence only comes by getting self-knowledge, which Vedanta is teaching, So Vedanta removes the darkness of self-ignorance by the light of knowledge. Just like, the darkness of night goes away the moment the daylight comes in, and because the daylight comes in, we wake up. Similarly, when the darkness of self-ignorance goes away, this darkness of self-ignorance is known as Ratri, the ignorance of Ratri. And when this ignorance called Ratri goes away by the light of knowledge, we wake up to the fact, Shivoham, I am Shiva. And Paramatma, which is Atma. This is the true meaning of Shiv Ratri. Shiv Ratri means when the darkness of ignorance goes away and I wake up to realize my own nature as Shiva is the meaning of Shiv Ratri. Shiv Ratri does not mean that it is a Ratri where I have to keep awake no matter what I do, even if I watch movies. I've heard about this, the people saying that somehow you have to keep awake that night because that is what is supposed to be done. This is all ignorance, people don't know the true meaning which only Vedanta gives. So most of the people, what are they doing? They're following some rituals as per their beliefs, in their mind. Some rituals are followed here, even on Shivratri. And what are they praying for? For material benefits, and well-being, that material comforts, how everything should be okay, This is what praying on Shivratri. This is what is going on. Shivratri is a very auspicious day religiously, for us to pray to Sagunishwara, so that we pray by puja, by japa, dhyana, so that God can, this puja, japa, dhyana brings self-purification. It removes that whole lot of papas which are standing in my account. It is going to nullify some papa. All the puja does that, And once there is purification to some extent, the God is going to bless you with mumukshutvam, So a student of Vedanta must know that what to pray for on Shivratri. You pray for mumukshutvam, that give me this mumukshutvam, because once the mumukshutvam comes in, this mumukshutvam is going to drive the person, So not only do we do not know what Shivratri is, we do not know what to pray for, we also do not know what that Shiv Linga means. How many people know what Shiv Linga means? Linga in Sanskrit means an indicator, that which is indicating something. Like the moving leaves are a linga to tell us the presence of breeze present there, It is an indicator of the presence of breeze. That is a linga. The moving leaves are a linga for the indication of breeze there. If there is smoke, smoke is a linga for the presence of fire which is present there. Similarly, Shiv Linga, it is indicating something. It is a linga. What is it indicating? It is indicating that Shiva is the transcendental, all-pervasive, formless Atma called Brahman. That is the Shiv, meaning of Shiv Linga. If there is one form which can include all the forms of this universe, that form has to be either spherical or elliptical. If you take all the forms of geometry and put it together, it's going to form a circle. You see the children playing with that plasticine, they'll make all sorts of forms, and when they roll it up together, that form has to be either spherical or oblong, or elliptical. So the form of Shiv Linga means that it includes all the forms of this world. That form is indicating that. And for a Shiv Bhakta, transcendental God is Shiv Linga. And for a Vishnu Bhakta, A formless transcendental God is Shaligram. That's Shaligram they pray to. So this has to be known, and the mind cannot conceive a formless abstract God. The human mind cannot perceive that. So this form, the formless form of God, has been only given to us by God. So we must know what Shiv Linga means, because we are praying to Shiv Linga. And also the Hindus, they need to know, because lots of non-Hindus talk about this, that, oh, your Hinduism is very confusing, you have so many gods here, and Hindus don't know what to answer to such people. These are not so many gods. We have one God who has got so many forms here. Just like every human being is a manifestation of Atma, and every human being has different kind of predispositions. The personality gets attracted to some different kinds of personalities. Similarly, in Hinduism, it is a huge advantage because we've got so many gods. Any god's personality which one can get attracted to, one can make that god one's Ishta Devata and pray to that god, and that Ishvara alone is going to take me to transcendental God, from Hari to Om. So like the personality of Hanumanji, it is like Mr. Universe. He is the Superman. Now there are some people who love that personality, so they get attracted to Hanumanji, and they will pray to Hanumanji. Some people love the personality of Lord Krishna, that playful, cheerful personality of Lord Krishna is so attractive to some people, So we can have Lord Krishna as my Ishta Devata. So it is such a huge advantage, which many a times, because I have heard people talk like that, so I'm mentioning it here, that Hinduism doesn't have many forms, and Hinduism not confusing. Actually, many Hindus also will put so many Ishta Devatas photos in their puja room that they don't know. Sometimes one old lady was saying that I get tired praying to so many gods I've got, I went to that Tirtha and I got that photo, and then I get so tired. If I don't pray to that God will get angry. So all that is ignorance, All the gods means only one God. These are the Devatas, and Shiv Linga is Mahadeva, Mahadeva. These are like all the ministers in the cabinet, Devatas who've got different portfolios. Somebody is giving me this, somebody is giving me this, I don't have this, I go and pray to that God. But the power to all these Devatas coming from the Prime Minister only, that is Brahman is the actual transcendental God, and I must reach as a student of Vedanta, I must go from Sagunishwara to Nirgunishwara, This is my journey, this is the journey of Vedanta, So here in this life, this very precious human life, I don't have to spend it in Artha and Kama looking at everybody else over here, because 99.9999% of people are only doing that. So if you are that one person out from everything, don't think that you are going wrong, The whole lot is going wrong here, So I must not pursue this. This should not be my goal, And because everybody has been doing that, 1300 years ago, Adi Shankaracharya ji wrote in his Bhaja Govindam, Balat Stavat Krida Saktaha, Tarunas Stavat Taruni Saktaha, Vriddhas Stavat Chinta Saktaha, Parme Brahmani Kopina Saktaha. Balastavat Krida Saktaha. Childhood we spend in playing. Tarunastavat Taruni Saktaha. Then comes youth. Boys are chasing the girls. And today girls are also chasing the boys, Those days they didn't do that. Or today's language is dating Saktaha. This is what they are doing. Then comes old age. Vriddhastavat Chinta Saktaha. That's the way you lived your foolish life. So now the time has come, there's nobody around here, everybody is busy in their own lives, and health is also deteriorating. Every day there is a new health problem cropping up, so you have nothing else to do. So what do? Chinta Saktaha, sit and worry, Parme Brahmani Kopina Saktaha. Nobody has even thought that I can get self-knowledge by studying the scriptures and come to know what and who is Brahman. So that is out of question. They have trained their minds to Chinta Saktaha, worry all the time. They don't do Chintan, but they do chinta. Chintan is contemplation, where you need a very disciplined, mastered mind to do chintan. But a gross mind, untrained mind, a person who's lived a foolish life, chinta comes naturally to that person. Keep worrying all the time. Worry about yourself, worry about everybody else. Trouble yourself, trouble everybody around yourself. That is why the first month of the year is what? Worry. Yeah. So worry. Jan in Sanskrit means the birth of worry. So that is their like a role model. Sit and worry. So everybody is scared of old people. Old people should have been such a huge advantage. They lived their whole life and they have so much of experience. But why are people running away from old people? Because this is what they're doing. Worrying all the time, So this is not the way we have to live our life. This is a proof of a life lived for Arth and Kama. This kind of a life. You lived an Arth and Kama life, and now you pay this heavy price for it. So we better wake up and start pursuing first dharma, and then moksha. Dharma is going to take us to moksha. So for dharma, we've seen earlier that we must perform the Panch Mahayagna here. Yagna is an act of worship. Mahayagna is a great act of worship. And there are 5 Panch Mahayagnas which are followed as dharma here, First is Dev Yagna, which is we pray to God every day. We have to thank Him. We have to pray with so much of gratitude that so much God has given, Then there is Pitra Yagna. We have to serve our family reverentially as a worship, because I am what I am because of my family, Then there is Rishi Yagna. We have to study our scriptures, which the Rishis have given so selflessly to us, Then there is Manushya Yagna. I have to serve the humanity here. I haven't come here to take care of me and mine, hum, me or mere do, That is not what life is meant for. You have to serve this world. Manav Seva is Madhav Seva. You serve this. This is with a reverential attitude. As an act of worship, we serve this humanity. Then the Bhut Yagna, that is taking care of animals and plants here, We should never ever take any animal's freedom away, because a human being can take. But this is, you do that, and maybe next Janma you will be, you will go through the same consequences. Or even in this life, if you have put anybody in a cage, this life is going to become like a samsar kara graha for you, where you'll feel suffocated in the life you are living, That is a price you're going to pay. So we should not ever trouble, no cutting trees here, plant trees, this is what. And if a person follows a life of dharma, he will be blessed with mumukshutvam. Mumukshutvam has to come to such a person. So Tattva Bodha is telling us that the first requirement for self-realization is self-purification, And the self-purification is going to give me sadhan chatushte sampatti. That is the sampatti, the inner wealth, which is a sadhan for moksha, which becomes a means to get moksha, And once a person gets blessed with sadhan chatushte sampatti, he is an adhikari for Tattva Bodha. Bodha is the knowledge, Tattva is the reality of this universe. So he's going to come to know Tattva Bodha if he gets sampanna with sadhan chatushte sampatti. And because Tattva Bodha needs a lot of viveka, there's a lot of discriminative analysis which is required here. Hence, the topic from now onwards is called Tattva Vivekaha, because we need this viveka. So we are going to read now the topic of Tattva Vivekaha. Tattva Vivekaha kaha.
Tattva Vivekaha kaha.
Atma Satyam.
Atma Satyam.
Tad Anyat.
Tad Anyat.
Sarvam Mithya iti.
Sarvam Mithya iti.
So to the question, what is Tattva Vivekaha, the Guru replies, Atma Satyam. Tad Anyat Sarvam. Everything other than Atma is in the scriptures is known as Anatma. Anatma. That which is not Atma is known as Anatma. So Atma is Satyam. Atma is the truth of this world, and Anatma is Mithya. So these are four very important technical words of Vedanta, which one must understand. And if you assimilate the true meaning of these four words, you have understood Vedanta, So here first the Guru is saying that first know this difference, about Atma and Anatma. So when I am looking at this world here, I see that everything, all the objects in this world are in the realm of time. They are time bound, they have a lifespan, hence everything which is visible to me is mortal here. So the scriptures tell us that whatever you are seeing, whatever is visible and whatever is mortal is not Atma, it is Anatma. So Atma is not visible to my senses, and then another huge secret the scriptures are revealing, that whatever you are seeing here is not be all and end all of this world. We think that this is it because I can see that. No, there's much more. What we can see is hardly 1/10 of what actually there is here in this world, So in all these objects of the world which are visible and which are mortal, there is an inner, invisible, immortal inner core of every object, which is life itself, which is the power, this is the light of consciousness, the awareness. We are aware, we are alive. It is because of the Atma Tattva that we are alive. I am conscious because of the Atma inside me that I am conscious, So Anatma is visible and mortal, and the Atma is invisible and immortal. It is the main core of every object of this world, But problem is that Atma is not visible to my senses. I can't see the Atma, I can't smell the Atma, I can't hear the Atma, I can't taste the Atma, I can't touch the Atma. That means to all our five senses, these are our five senses, Atma is imperceptible to my senses. Then Atma is also inconceivable by the mind. When I see this world, I see this world, I hear this world, then there are objects, the senses, they are getting the data from this world, and the mind backs up the senses, and the image of all these objects we see forms in the mind, and that image is, as I'm seeing the world, those images in the mind are continuously changing. Just like in the movie, the images go on changing, then the whole lot of those images is the movie, That is why our mind is compared to a projector. It is known as Prakshepan Yantra, because there are so many objects, the images of so many objects are forming in my mind all the time. But there is no object in my mind as Atma there, So how do I conceive the Atma? Because it is inconceivable by the mind. So the scriptures tell us that Atma is that light, the Atma Jyotihi, because of which my thoughts are illumined. My dream is illumined, My mind, in my mind, the thoughts and my dreams shine in the light of consciousness. So Atma is compared to space. It is Akashvat. It is Prakashvat. It is like the light, not the source of light, but the light. Like in this room, this room is pervaded by space. It is pervaded by light. Similarly, we are chanting in the prayer mantra, Vyom Vad Vyapta Dehaya. Just like the space pervades my body, similarly Atma pervades the body. Atma is not an object. Atma is the light of consciousness, In all these gadgets, the electrical gadgets, the fan, the bulb and all that, this becomes functional only when the invisible electricity passes through them, Similarly, in all the Anatma becomes alive, it becomes conscious when the Atma pervades the Anatma, So we have to have this clarity that Anatma is visible, but Anatma is mortal, and Anatma is inert by itself. It is, it is Jadatatvam, and it becomes alive when it gets pervaded by Atma, and Atma is invisible, but it is immortal, and it is Chaitanya Tattvam. So these are the first two very important definitions of Atma and Anatma. Then the Guru is saying Atma is Satyam, Tad Anyat Sarvam, that is Anatma is Mithya. Now Satyam and Mithya are again two very important words. There is no object in this world called Satyam. That object is Satyam and this is Mithya. No, there is no such object. It is the reality of these objects as per my understanding. What is the reality? It is Sattvam or Mithya, you know. So now again, you know, the human mind can either conceive of an object which is existent, or it can even understand something which is non-existent. So either it is the existent object is Satyam and the non-existence is known as Tuchya in Sanskrit, you know. Something which, like a human being, a mind can understand, yes, this is an existent human being, but his horns are non-existent because a human being doesn't have a horn, but the other animals have a horn. So there is, that is existent, and a human being, it is non-existent. So the mind, the human mind is such that it can conceive of existent stuff and non-existent stuff. But here the word which is being used is Mithya. So what is this word Mithya? Satya means that principle which has an independent existence, which can exist here independently. It doesn't need the help of anything else for its own existence. Anything which exists on its own is known as Satyam. It is also known as Swatantraha, you know, and that which does not have its own existence, it needs the help of something else for it to exist, is known as Mithya. That is known as Paratantraha. You know, that is a dependent principle, and this is an independent principle, you know. Just like in a family, if there is one earning member, he is Swatantraha, he is earning his own money, but the whole family is dependent on his money, so the whole family becomes Paratantraha, you know. So to understand what is Satyam and Mithya, we will take the example of this wooden chair, you know. So in the wooden chair, we have two words, wooden and chair. Now the word wooden has got its own substance. It is wood. It is not plastic, it is not cane, it is not steel, aluminum, it is wood. So the word wooden has got its own substance, but the word chair, it doesn't have its own substance, you know. Chair is dependent on the wood for its existence, you know. It is a form of wood which has got a name as chair, and it serves the purpose of sitting, which is very important, you know. But on its own, if we remove the wood, there can be no chair here. The properties of the chair are the properties of the wood. The weight of the chair is the weight of the wood. And if we remove the wood, there can be no chair. So, chair is only Nama Rupa of wood. It is only a name and form of wood. So, in this relative sense, the wood is Satyam and the chair is Mithya. You know, so then in this ocean, if we see, the waves are Mithya and the water is Satyam, because the wave is only a name and form of water. If you remove the water, there can be no wave. In gold ornaments, the ornament is Mithya and the Satyam is gold, because the ornaments are dependent on the gold for its existence, you know. It is Nama Rupa of gold. If we remove the gold, there can be no ornaments. And the most pet famous example of the scriptures is the clay pot. That is a famous example in the scriptures, you know. A clay pot in which we store water, you know. What is that whole clay pot? There is nothing right from the bottom to the top. It's only clay. It's a form of clay which has got a name pot, and it serves the purpose of storing water, you know. So there is a very famous statement in the Shastra which says, Vacha Rambhanam Vikaro Nam Dheyam Mrittika Ityeva Satyam. Vacha Rambhanam is just for name and sake. That pot is just for name and sake. Vikaro, it is a vikar, it is a form. Nama Rupam, it is its name, it's a name of the clay. Mrittika Ityeva Satyam. The Satyam part is Mrittika. Mrittika in Sanskrit means mud, but it is a baked mud which is clay, you know. So that is what is Satyam. Similarly, the Shastra is telling us this whole world here which I am encountering is Mithya Jagat. It is only a name and form of Atma. Atma is Satyam and this whole Jagat is Mithya. Everything is a name and form of Brahman or Atma, Brahma Satyam Jagan Mithya Jivo Brahmeva na Paraha. The actual nature of every human being is Atma, and Atma is taking up this form, this name and form. And here we are fighting and wars are happening, everything between what? Atma and Atma. So it is a big joke actually if you don't know this truth, So hence these 4 words are the real Vivekaha, the Tattva Vivekaha starts here, We must know what is Atma and what is Anatma. These are the technical words, they're like the jargons, which we use in every other field. Medical has its own jargons and IT has its own jargons and legal people have their own jargons. Even cricket has its own jargons like slip and a gully and extra cover, whatever, all that they keep using. And we may understand English, but to understand what that means, I have to have knowledge of that subject, Similarly, these are the technical jargons of Vedanta, which a student of Vedanta has to know. That is, Atma Satyam, Tadanyat Sarvam, Mithya iti, So then we'll read ahead. Atma kaha, Sthula Sukshma, Karan Sharir, Adi, Vyatariktah, Panchkoshah, Atitah san, Avasthatraya Sakshi, Satchidananda Swarupah san, Yat Tishtati Sah Atma. Now here he is explaining the most important definition, which is what is Atma, which every student of Vedanta must actually learn it. It is so important, So we saw that Atma is the invisible principle here, Atma is not perceptible to my senses. Even if we put all those gadgets which empower our senses, like telescope, microscope, endoscope, stethoscope, whichever scope you put in front, which the sensory power gets enhanced with that. But still with those gadgets, I'm not going to be able to see Atma in front of me, So Atma is imperceptible to my senses. Then it is inconceivable to the mind. The mind perceives this world by the formation of thoughts inside the mind, There are thoughts are known as vrittis in Sanskrit, I perceive the world only because thoughts are forming in my mind. And each vritti has got 2 parts. It is subject and object known as aham vritti and idam vritti. Those 2 vrittis have to form in the mind for me to perceive the world. If either of them is missing, there is no vritti which is going to happen in the mind. So when I see this world here, I see a tree, I see a chair, I see a fan, So in this thought, I may not say it verbally, but the mind talks, because the mind is an audio visual clip there happening. So in these thoughts which have happened, the I part, I see the fan, I see the light, I see the tree. The I in it is known as aham vritti, And the others, the tree, the light, the fan, they are idam vrittis. So aham vritti is constant, but idam vritti goes on changing, because as I am perceiving the world, the idam vrittis are changing and aham vritti is constant over there. But I don't have any idam vritti as Atma in my mind, So Atma is inconceivable to the mind. I conceive everything what I am conceiving is anatma. So then how do I know the Atma? Because these are only 2 methods a human being has to know, either the senses or the mind, So the scriptures tell us that Atma is known by the 6th sense. The 6th sense is the Shastras. The knowledge given in the Shastras is the 6th sense. The wisdom of the Shastras, by that alone you can find out what exactly is Atma. There is no other way of knowing what is Atma. The 6th sense, which is the wisdom given in the Shastra, is going to tell me what is Atma. That wisdom, when I see through that wisdom, when I perceive this world through that wisdom, I have what? I'm perceiving it through Jnana Chakshuhu. Not these horizontal chakshus which I have are known as Charam Chakshus. With this I can only see Anatma. But the Gyan Chakshu, the vertical third eye of Bhagwan Shiva on the forehead, means only this. It doesn't mean he physically has a third eye. It means that is the Gyan Chakshu. He's seeing this world through the wisdom as given in the Shastras, And even if we can see this world through the wisdom, then even I have the Gyan Chakshu. I also have the third eye, So we can only come to know what is Atma by the sixth sense, that is the wisdom given in the Shastras. That alone can tell me what is Atma. Now the other biggest problem which comes of Atma and Anatma is that these two are mixed up together, they cannot be physically separated. If they were physically separated, science would have separated them long time back and proven what is Atma, But Atma and Anatma are mixed together in any state, be it the causal state, these two are together. Now suppose I show my hand here, this is my hand. This is not just the hand, there are two principles over here. One is the hand and other is the light which is pervading the hand, But this hand which is catches everybody's attention, and we miss out on the light because that is the main thing. Without the light, the hand cannot be seen, So there are these two principles, Atma and Anatma, and these are mixed. I can't separate the light and the hand, they're together. If the light is removed, I can't see the hand, So Atma and Anatma cannot be separated physically, they have to be cognitively separated. We have to understand this, this separation has to be done cognitively, and that is the reason why Vedanta is not easy, why everybody runs away from Vedanta, what headache is all this, So, and to explain this almost impossible thing, only the Shastras can explain it to us, So they use certain methods of explaining, which are known as prakriyas in the Shastras. And there are many prakriyas all over in the Shastras, But here the Guru is using three prakriyas. One is Sthula Sukshma Karan Sharir. This is known as Sharira Traya Prakriya. Then the other one is Panchakosha Prakriya. Then there is Avasthatraya Prakriya. These are the three methods by which Guru is going to explain to us what is Atma. These are the methodologies by which the Shastras explain us from different standpoints, the same thing from a different standpoint, then from another standpoint, they're going to explain what is Atma. Then in these prakriyas, the Shastra is pointing out to everything which is Anatma. This is Anatma, this is Anatma, and then by the method of negation, which in the Shastra is known as Neti Neti, Na iti, Na iti. This is not Atma, this is not Atma, this is not Atma. This is a method of negation. By this method of negation, everything which is Anatma is negated, and what is left in the end is supposed to be known as Atma. So a person may wonder that why am I even supposed to bang my head with all this Atma and Atma business? I'm fine as I am. No, you're not fine. Because if you are going to take your reality as Anatma, your life is going to be miserable, Because this Anatma is ephemeral. It is changing. It is temporary, And we had seen earlier, it is Dukh Mishritatvam, Atriptikaratvam and Bandhakatvam. This doesn't give any tripti. It comes, everything which I get in this world, which is Anatma, comes with this own baggage of dukkha. And then I'm bound, I get bound with anything, like this. It is misery. So I must know my truth as Atma, because true peace, security and happiness I can only get when I know what is Atma. So the scriptures reveal another huge secret, The scriptures say that this peace, security and happiness does not depend on what I have. It depends on who I am. This is a dindima of Vedanta, It is a declaration of Vedanta, must be understood properly. because every human being here is only busy in getting things here. And even the talk, I got this, I have this, I have this, I have a son, I have a daughter, I have a husband, I have a wife, I have. Just you carry on, best of luck to you. But the Shastras revealing that if this is what you are going to do, your life is going to be miserable, because you will get peace, security and happiness only when you come to know what is Atma. And that is my nature. So there are two things. One is apraptasya praptihi and other is praptasya praptihi. Apraptasya prapti is something which I don't have. Aprapta praptihi. I get it. So most of the people, we are trying to get things in the world. I don't have it and I'm busy in getting it. This is apraptasya praptihi. Then there is something as praptasya praptihi. I already have something, but I don't know about it. And the day I come to know about it, that is praptasya praptihi. So just like, in my pocket there is my key, which I'm looking around for outside. I'm searching for that key, and by chance I put my hand in my pocket. Oh, the key is here, So it is what? Praptasya praptihi. That is praptasya. And the day I realize that I am the Atma, which is Paramatma, that is praptasya praptihi, So the Atma is that important to know. So here Guru is explaining us what is Atma by the Prakriya. And the first Prakriya which he talks about is Sthula Sukshma Karan Sharira Vyatiriktaha. The word Vyatiriktaha means other than. It is other than Sthula Sharira. Sthula Sharira is this gross body of mine. Sukshma Sharira is the subtle body. And Karan Sharira is the causal body. So by this statement itself, the scripture is revealing something very huge, that I am made up of three Shariras. I am not just this, which every human being is making a blunder right there, I am composed of three Shariras. When seen from the point of view of Shariras, I am made up of three Shariras. So just like, a flower is made up of petals, sepals, stamens, all these which are put together forms a product which is called a flower. Similarly, when all these three Shariras come together, and they come together because of prarabdha karmas, anything which has parts is brought together only because of prarabdha karmas. And when the prarabdha karmas finish, this is going to fall apart, the thing is going to die. You can keep counting your heartbeat and pulse and all that which people are doing. Nothing is going to happen, just the prarabdha has to end. Even if you're walking on the road, the prarabdha end, tuck, finish, there only you will go, just like that. So the prarabdha brings all these bodies together, and when the prarabdha finishes, the body goes away, So the first Sharira which we have is Sthula Sharira. It is the gross body. It is called Sthula Sharira because it is visible to our senses. It is Sthula. My senses, I can see your body, you can see my body. It is visible to the senses, So it is called Sthula Sharira. And most of the Mudhas and Vimudhas, those fools and big fat fools, spend their life in taking care of this Sthula Sharira, They can't see anything beyond the Sthula Sharira. If you look around, what is happening over here, only decorating this Sthula Sharira, only working for this Sthula Sharira, because they know nothing else, All these beauty parlors and the plastic surgeons are thriving because of this stupid notion of the humans, because they are all jam-packed. The plastic surgeons have appointments for years because they are correcting this body. They're removing those wrinkles, like that. They're looking like freaks, but this is what they're doing. They want to look 20 years old when they're 70 years old. Why? That 70-year-old person looks so graceful with the grey hair and that body. That's got its own beauty, Why do you want to look like 20 years? Because of the importance we've given to the Sthula Sharira. Today even the men have their men's parlor, they're sitting and getting facials done. Can you believe it? Men getting that done? They're doing it because they don't want wrinkles coming on their face. That is the Sthula Sharira is so important, So this Sthula Sharira is just like a packaging, a covering which is present, and the main content is inside. So you keep decorating like you birthday packing, with good flowers and packaging. This is what you're doing, and this is what the covering is. This is just a covering. So inside this, we have another body which is known as Sukshma Sharira. Sukshma, it is Sukshma because I can see mine, but nobody else can see my Sukshma Sharira. No, you can't see my thoughts and my mind, and neither can I see yours. That is why a person may be doing all sorts of drama outside and a very happy face, but what's going on inside the mind, we don't know. We don't know what's going on inside the person's mind. The mind is Sukshma. So that is the Sukshma Sharira, and then inside that Sukshma Sharira, we also have a Karan Sharira. Karan Sharira is even subtler than the Sukshma Sharira, and Karan Sharira, the individual himself cannot see it. It is the Karan of these two Shariras, and that detail is going to come later. We're going to talk about Karan Sharira. So here Guru is telling us that firstly, please know that the human being is made up of these three Shariras. The word Atma actually means I. Only thing is we don't know. Every time I'm using, even unknowingly when I'm using, I am indicating to the Atma only. The word Atma means I. And everything which I think is I is Vyatirikta from Atma. That is not Atma. So by this method, by this prakriya, he is negating what is Anatma. Sthul Sharira Neti, this Sukshma Sharira Neti, this Karan Sharira Neti. What is left? Now that is the Atma. Then the next prakriya which he uses is Panchakoshaha Atitaha. Panch means 5. Kosha means a sheet which covers or hides something, It is a sheet, it is a kosha. Like my spectacles are kept in a box, it is hiding, it is covering that, my spectacles, It is a sheet, it is a kosha. And Atma is Panchakoshaha Atitaha. It is beyond the Panchakoshas. So the Panchakoshas are three Shariras are further divided into Panchakoshas for a detailed analysis as per my experience of the different layers of my personality, We experience our different layers of personality. From that angle now he is explaining what is Atma. So Atma and body is the same, but from different angles he is trying to explain. So here he says that the first experience which we have is this physical anatomical body of ours, and the experience which I get is I am tall, I am short, I am fair, I am dark. This is my experience of my physical body. So then there is another personality which we have, that is the physiological personality, by which we experience as I am hungry, I am thirsty, I am ill, I am healthy. This is not the Atman, this is the physiological personality which we have. Then we have an emotional personality which gives me the experience that I am agitated, I am angry, I am happy, I am sad. That is my emotional personality. Then we have an intellectual personality by which I say, yes, I know this, I have this. Here the ego also comes into this layer of personality, Then we have a layer which has got our ignorance, our ignorance about our own self, which is not experienced directly. So these are our 5 layers of personality, and they become a koshaha because of our identification with these personalities. I take these personalities to be I. So they have become a kosha, not that the Atma is underneath and there are 5 layers on top and then I have to peel all those layers and eventually there will be Atma. That is not what it is. Because I have identified myself with these layers, this is me, I am tall, I am hungry, I am thinking, this is what I am, So these layers have become a kosha for us, And the Atma is all pervading, just like water pervades a wave. That is how Atma pervades these Panchakoshas, So Guru is saying Atma is not all these Panchakoshas, it is Atitaha, it is beyond these Panchakoshas. Then the third prakriya which he is using is Avasthatraya Sakshi. Sakshi means a witness. So Atma is a witness to our Avasthatraya, our 3 states of experiences, We go through these 3 states of experiences every day. This is Jagrat Avastha, Swapna Avastha and Shushupti Avastha, which is the waking state, the dream state and the deep sleep state. I am going through these avasthas every day, and I am not these avasthas, I am sakshi of this avastha. So in the waking state, I'm conscious of myself, I'm conscious of this world. So this Atma is the witness of that, and this waking state I am not. Then we go into the sleep, we go to sleep, and in the sleep we enter the Swapna Avastha. So in Swapna Avastha, this body of mine is lying on the bed, the eyes are closed, they can't see anything, but I'm seeing that dream world of mine, in the dream world, there is a dream body and there is a dream world projected by the mind, but this body has got nothing to do with that world, So who's watching that? So Atma is the Sakshi of that world. Atma is illumining the dream world. The Swapna Avastha, in science is known as REM state. The rapid eye movement happening in that state. The eyeballs keep moving behind the eyelids, and the scientists, they actually study the brain activity during that time by EEG and all. And the brain activity in the Swapna Avastha and Jagrat Avastha is almost the same, There's activity happening, those neurons are firing, So there's activity happening in the brain. So after Swapna Avastha, when you'll see that the brain activity goes down. It's not nil, but it's like literally flat like that. What has happened? The person has gone into Sushupti Avastha, And that Avastha everybody longs to go for, because in that Avastha the mind has resolved, and because the mind has resolved, the individuality is resolved, and because the individuality is resolved, all the problems of the individual are resolved, There's no anxiety, tension, all that in that Jagra. Even Swapna can scare the hell out of you, if it's a nightmare. So many people wake up because of the dream. I read in the paper the other day, one girl has committed suicide because of the scary dream she's getting, So that is also, but in Sushupti Avastha, total peace. So every individual is the same, because there's no individuality there, there is no person there. We're just by ourselves but I know that Avastha, because I long to go in that Avastha, how I love to go into deep sleep, Every person, those alcoholics and drug addicts are taking that because they want to go to Sushupti Avastha, So, and when I wake up, I say that, I slept very well, and I would want to go back to that kind of sleep again. So I'm aware. Who's aware? Sakshi is aware. Atma is the Sakshi which is aware. So I am not these three Avasthas, but I am Sakshi of these Avasthas. So this is, and then he says, so what is Atma? Atma is Sat Chit Ananda Swarupa San Yat Tishtati Sa Atma. So Yat Tishtati, that which abides in its Swarupa, in its own nature of Sat Chit and Ananda. This is the nature of Atma. It is Atma is Sat Chit and Ananda, and which abides in its nature is known as Atma. This is going to be dealt in real detail in the coming lectures ahead. So this, there is a big problem here. The Shakti of Maya is so strong that every human being succumbs to it, And there is a fact which we all miss to see, that anything changing and moving can only happen if it has a changeless substratum, Otherwise the change is not possible. Now a river's flowing. A river needs a firm river bed for it to flow on. Otherwise that flow is not possible, The train is moving. A moving train needs firm tracks. Otherwise that movement is not possible. And here, in us, everything is changing. Our three shariras are changing, our panchakoshas are changing. We are continuously going into three avasthas. It is all changing. And how can the change happen without a changeless base? That changeless base is the substratum, which is the Atma. On that changeless base is only all this possible. We miss it out because of the Shakti of Maya. Maya has got us in our grips, So I need to know that all these are Anatma, and I am not all this Atma, Anatmas. I am the Atma, which is of the nature of Sat, Chit and Ananda. There is a beautiful bhajan which says, Amar Atma Sachidananda Roop Main Hoon, Shivoham, 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 Shivoham. I am Shiva, I am the Atma. This is what I have to know. This is what Vedanta study is all about. This is what is Tattva Vivekaha. So we will continue in the next class. Om Purnamadaha Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti 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 Hari Om.